All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Blindside Blitz. I'm Jim McFee, and right there is Mr. Joe DeCapita.
What's going on, Blitz Nation? You know what time it is. Time to talk some football. We're proud and happy to be part of Grumblings Media, and we want you guys to be part of it too. Head over to Grumblings Media on YouTube. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button for us. Also, while you're there, hey, it doesn't hurt. Hit the thumbs up as well. Let YouTube know that you want our voices to be heard and everybody else that is the family of Grumblings Media. And don't forget to share. That's right, share it. Sharing is caring, and tell a friend to tell a friend. That's what it's all about. Jim, I'm excited about this week because guess what? No shortage of mistakes were made this week in week 3.
Oh, yeah,
Referees,
right?
referees were bad. The
Oh,
play,
my goodness.
the teams were bad. So like we are by far we're not even close to mid-season form.
Yep. We got to see the digital chip change the ball position to, of
Yeah.
where the ball was spotted to.
Hmm.
So we got to see that in action. So we saw a little bit of everything. We saw some block kicks too, some block punts.
Yeah.
A lot of craziness, exciting, a lot of big plays, some close games, but then some major blowouts too, right? And we'll get into that in just a little bit. The news that dropped today, though, and what everybody's talking about, especially up here, we're in upstate New York right now.
Hmm.
Jaxson Dart will start after so much media going crazy,
Yep.
drilling Brian Dable, him trying to dodge the situation, dodge the question by he just sold it out by not saying anything. I mean, he was just like, we're gonna look at all the tape, and they're like, yeah, but last week you were totally like, yeah, we're starting Russ. Uh,
Yeah.
this week you're just like, we're watching the tape. That's something different. So what are you saying that you're not saying? And he goes, we're gonna watch the tape. We're gonna evaluate. Like, okay. And then lo and behold, after all that, he probably went into management or Joe Shane or ownership after he's like, come on, guys, you're leaving me out there. I can't keep doing this out there. We're going to put this guy in or not, man. I can't be going out there and walking out there and just taking shots like this. Let's get it done. So Jaxson Dart will get the start now in week 4 after we've seen enough of Russell Wilson and his poor play. 2 weeks out of 3 not looking so good. The one outlier is the Dallas Cowboy game where he was going toe to toe with a poor
Hmm.
defense of the Dallas Cowboys, but
Right.
it was more relevant this week again when he is getting pressured and it's time to win the game and he's throwing the ball away.
Hmm.
I don't know anybody that when the chips are down and it's time to go out and win a game, you're just giving up downs and throwing the ball away. On
Hmm.
4th down, you're pressured and you throw the ball into the stands or away. That makes no sense whatsoever at all. For a veteran to do that, it is mind blowing. And that was one of the telltale signs. And there's many more within that game that we saw and within past play the last couple of weeks, Joe.
So I mean, here's the thing for me is we've seen Russell Wilson be the Russell Wilson of old back in Seattle when he was playing against the Cowboys, and to our surprise, the Giants were in that game the whole way through and almost pulled it off. And then we've seen Russell Wilson kind of regress immensely in last week, where what are we watching? Like, is it the Giants play calling? Is it the fact that he's just making poor decisions? Like, and then the other part of it too is I'm not so sure. Like Russell Wilson doesn't have that. It's almost like he doesn't have that fire anymore. It's almost like he's out there playing quarterback because he still wants to start. He still wants to be the guy, but I just don't see the fire anymore. I don't see it looks like he's kind of just walking through the game and not he doesn't I don't see any of that passion that we once saw before. And if that's the case, this is the right decision. Make the change now. Get Jackson Dart experience. Let's see what the kid can do. Is he going to be flawless? Hell no. No rookie is like comes in and it's a rarity if that ever happens, right? Like we've seen CJ Stroud in his rookie year where he just blew the doors off the league, but it's a rarity. So Jackson Dart, it's to be expected. He's going to make some mistakes, but in the end, I think this is the right decision.
Yeah, absolutely, Joe. And another point that I got to make when you look at this and you look at the team, and one major thing that jumped out to me was when Jaxson Dart is in, they're doing RPOs, run options. And I get that even one, they're trying to keep it safe. Like, oh, let's see if he does what he runs. But two, other than those moments, they don't run RPOs at all in this offense at all. None,
No.
like zero. So if you're holding your whole playbook at bay because you have Russell Wilson in and you're only using half the book, we'll say, then it's obvious. It's ridiculous that you're holding the whole offense back. You're holding everybody back from being able to do plays like that, be able to run different options. You know what I'm saying? If that is what's there,
Yeah, I see what you're saying. It's not to that degree, not half the playbook or anything, but it's a small margin in the playbook where you have RPOs and everything. But here's that you hit the nail on the head when you said, how come they're not doing it when Russell Wilson's in there? Well, there's a reason for it. It's because they're worried about Russell Wilson getting hurt. And we know that he's not the fastest guy. He's got some speed for his age and for his position, but he's not Jaxson Dart either. Like Jaxson Dart is not only younger, but he's also just he's more intense. He's passionate about football. He can't wait to get on the football field and show what he can do. And he has more, he's faster than he looked, than he was anticipated coming out of college. The kid can move. Bottom line.
Mhm.
And now that they're making this decision to make the change, I think this is going to help the Giants offense immensely. You're going to have a
Mhm.
young kid ready to go. He can run if he has to, and he has a cannon for an arm. He's got a stronger arm than Russell Wilson. So he's not going to struggle with getting the ball to certain spots. So I love this decision.
Yeah, and like I said, when you look at this in the way the team is right now, they're already at an 0-3 start. You got nothing to lose. Might as well put him in. He's going to have his ups and downs, but
No.
but at least again, it's a different thing that defenses have to look at. Something that they could pose a threat to where Russell Wilson doesn't pose a threat at all. And it was nothing more telling than when they went even into the red zone. To where they're dead last. Well, 31st in the league in the red zone, only 20% when they get down there. And that, which was kind of mind boggling to me, is why not do Jaxson Dart there to where you're threatening to score if they have to look to see if Dart's going to take off running and possibly or hand it off to Scadaboo or Tracy for that matter, or Singletary or whatever. You had different options to where defenses had to look for all that plus a throw. That made more sense to kind of run those types of options towards the red zone, and they just flat out didn't. And so now where he is the starter, hopefully that means that when they do get down there, I mean, they haven't had a problem getting down there and marching down. It's just the turnovers or the turnover on downs or getting down in the red zone and coming up with nothing, either by going for it or now even with Graham Gano being injured, not kicking the field goal. So, and in turn, that also makes their defense poor. They've been getting more pass pressure every single week, but not really being able to get in there as much as you would like.
They're on the
And
field too much.
with being on the field too much and what this offense just dragging, it hasn't really helped at all. And
No.
so that's one thing I think to look forward to in the next couple of weeks. And I'm not expecting them to win and whatever, especially against the Chargers. I think they put up a better fight, though, and a better chance to win with the options that they have now.
Yeah, and we talk about options. Well, guess what, Jim? Two of my favorite draft picks, that Cam Scadaboo and
Mhm.
Jaxson Dart, are now going to be starters together on the football field together. It's going to be something to watch for sure because we saw a glimpse, a very small glimpse. Unfortunately, it comes to what Tyrone Tracy going down with an injury. He's going to be out for the next 4 weeks. He's going on short-term IR. We all get all that. But Cam
Mhm.
Scadaboo showed up and showed out, even in a game that was out of reach.
Yep.
The kid can play. Let him cook, as the young kids say, right? So
In
I
the
love it. And Jaxson Dart too. This is going to be an exciting time. Yes, it's we're not saying that Cam or Jaxson Dart's going to come in here and all of a sudden the Giants go from 0-3 to playoff bound. We're
Right.
saying that they're going to definitely be more competitive, and they are going to win some games that otherwise you probably wouldn't have with Russell Wilson at the helm. So
Mhm.
I like this direction. You got to get the kid
Right.
experience anyway. Why are we waiting when the Giants are 0-3 right now? What's the sense of waiting till we're 0-8? What's the
Right.
sense in waiting till it's 3/4 of the way through the season and saying, okay, yeah, we're going to be picking in the top 10 again, so we might as well throw the kid in. No, let's see
Mm.
what we have now. Get him experience, and let's see just what we can do now.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And again, when the chips are down, you need to go out and win the game. Jaxson Dart isn't going to throw it into the stands in a way. He's
Well,
going to
I
go out
mean,
and try to win the game.
to
You know
be
what I'm
fair,
saying?
that's not the only veteran quarterback I've seen do this.
I know. I
And
get that.
here's my
It's
thing
like they got something in their
is
mindset. They're like, I have to play it
I
safe.
don't
I have to play it safe. Like, that's way too
I don't
safe. You got
I
to
don't
win the
want another
game.
interception stat,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna throw it away and end the game. Like,
Yeah.
no, like, I've seen this happen before
Mhm.
where veterans, for some reason, like, even when they get flushed out of the
Mhm.
pocket, it's like, it's the last play, it's 4th
Mhm.
down. It's you gotta give someone a chance to catch it, and
Yeah.
instead, they just kinda throw it through the back of the end zone. It's
Yep.
like, "Why?"
Yeah.
But
And
that's
the
the end of the game.
intentional grounding thing too is ridiculous. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? But
Hey,
but we've got
that's referees for you.
yeah, well, we got our first comment in the house. It's Mike Tackett, our man.
What's going on, Mike?
Yeah, that's right. One of our Blitz boys out there. He's got a question because we did see some stuff about the CFL, going all these changes into their rules. He said, did you guys see the CFL is changing their rules to be more like American football? 100-yard field goal post at the back of the end zones.
Mhm.
Play clock will be 35 seconds. I feel like Canada is trying to embrace the American game more in hopes of potentially landing franchises in Toronto or Montreal.
I
Perhaps
don't s
again.
I here's my thing, and I understand what he's saying, but
Mhm.
I don't see it happening going to Canada.
Mhm.
Because there's that Canadian market is up there. I'm not sure if the Canadians are gonna be as welcoming as maybe the Americans would be willing to do it, because of actually, obviously, there's political reasons too.
Mhm.
Like, Canada isn't in such
What do you
favor
mean
with
the
America
NFL
right
doesn't
now.
get political, Joe?
So
What do you mean?
you know what I'm saying? So, like, my thing with this is,
Uh,
yes, I think they're changing the rules for a different reason. I think they're changing the rules to hopefully give more or better opportunity for the current Canadian football
mhm.
players to maybe acclimate and be able to shift over to American football if they get an opportunity. Because even though they still kind of get opportunity here and there, you don't hear it as much. But in the end, maybe this kind of opens the door a little bit more to where, like, oh, we got the same rules, so there's really not that much of a difference, and let's give them more opportunities.
Yeah, I think it's to open more eyes to Canadian football. I think too. Let's focus more on that. Like, hey, look at us. We're pretty much like you guys now. We're up here. Check it out. Because there are some diehards that really follow the CFL, like John Turner and Mike Tackett too. And some others again, don't have the time or whatever. They're just like, it's Canadian football, whatever. If the NFL were interested in grabbing Canadian teams, don't you think they would have had even a couple games up there? They don't even have games in Toronto like Canadian. They're going international all over to trying to spread or
Yeah, they're
whatever.
not going
They're not
Canada,
even
but they're
playing
going to
over out
Mexico.
there, and they've teased the thought of the Buffalo Bills being sold to an owner that was
Oh
going to
yeah, like
be
Toronto.
go to Toronto and stuff like that,
Yep.
but it's never really happened. And I don't know, like you said, even if Canada and Toronto, they want to kind of do that sort of thing.
Mhm.
I think they want to try and just make their product more enticing to other people as well. And like you said, acclimating other players, that know the way the American football is played too. That just makes it, more enticing to go there too. Absolutely. It would be interesting though, but I don't know. I don't know about the NFL being willing to expand uh, to that extent. I really don't want them to expand anymore. You know what I mean? Because 32 teams, I
No.
think, is kind of like that right number. If you start getting more, and then like you talked about a bunch, I've said it. These international games are crazy, and I get they're trying to promote and get it worldwide and stuff, but it's taxing on the players. How would you bring it into a season if you did get teams in these other overseas markets? it's just nuts. I
Yeah,
don't see
it's a
that.
lot.
If
No,
start another league if you're going to do that, and still have it licensed by the NFL or something.
well, they used to have an NFL
Well, we
Europe
know.
league.
Yep.
They had an
Yeah.
NFL Euro League, and they had teams over in Europe and in that region, and it was successful for a few years.
Hmm.
And there was players that would get picked from that area and brought over to America, and they'd get an opportunity. But it went away. It died off, and I feel like the NFL is still grasping for that reach again, but they're doing it in the wrong way because they're utilizing their own league to do it just to play games. Now there's like you mentioned, Jim, like there's definitely like whispers in league circles where they want a franchise in the UK. And how are you going to make that work between all other 32 teams if that was to happen? It's like, dude, the travel would be insane. Like jet lag galore. I mean, you can't have a West Coast team drive or fly all the way over to the UK to have a game. It's like it'd be insane. Scheduling conflicts. I mean, I think it would be chaos, honestly. And I just think that's the wrong decision, and that's my own opinion about it. Uh, but maybe the NFL hopefully is not going to go that direction. I know there's talk about it, but hopefully they're going to kind of just keep it in the states. And I get, playing games, overseas and stuff just to kind of like because there's fans all over the world, but don't go overboard.
Hmm. Hmm. Absolutely, yeah, and I think we'll get to see what that kind of looks like too when later on in the season Minnesota does like back-to-back games, one in
Well,
Ireland
they're
and then
staying
I
out
think
there.
in England. So they're staying out there, but then even
Yeah.
being that gone away from the U.S. for a bit and then finally coming back, see if
Mhm.
that ends up taking its toll too as well. But yeah, so this past weekend, Joe, there was a lot of craziness going on, blocked field goals, like I said, punts, but I think nothing more telling than some of the games here with turnovers. So I decided to create this segment for tonight and call it Turnover Tuesday. Look at that. There's Joe with the turnovers. Look at that. He's loving it. We got
Hey, I make all kinds.
he does. Joe, yeah, he loves it. He's in the bakery. There he is. He's got some beautiful turnovers there. And we're talking about the Patriots, the Bengals, the Texans, and the Falcons games. Joe, let's get right into it with the Patriots. The Patriots, the thing about this team is, we both expected like our turnaround a little bit here and get better, but for a Mike Vrabel team, they seem kind of undisciplined here or just I don't know, lack thereof of protecting the football because they drive to the red zone, but then they turn the ball over more than anybody, I feel like, in the red zone.
Well, and yes, and it comes down to personnel, really. We saw Gibson, fumble the ball once. We saw Ramondre Stevenson fumble multiple times, you
Mhm.
know, and it's like now it's almost to where they're at a point where like they can't trust those running backs anymore. They have to go
Mhm.
to the rookie. They got to go to Devery Henderson. They
Mhm.
got to let him tote the rock, whether it be running the ball or throwing it to him, in a pass play. So let's take like what they ended up doing is they turned the ball over. Yes, you're right, 5 total times.
Mhm.
One was an interception. The other 4 were fumbles lost.
Right.
Fumbles.
Yep.
These guys are professional athletes, and I understand it does happen in the game. I get all that, but multiple times it can't happen. There's got to be something that they're doing wrong with, whether it be the way they hold on to the ball or they just don't care when they get into a crowd or a scrum and they just kind of hold the ball loosely and it just gets punched out. Like these type of things are critical for any given team. These are more than likely the reasons why you lose games is turnovers. It's all the time. We see it every single week. Turnover, turnover, turnover turns into points for the opposing team, and then it's over. So it's got to change. Patriots got to start really kind of focusing this week on preventing those fumbles at least.
Yeah, absolutely. And you talked about it. Turnovers, 2 inside the Steelers 5-yard line. Like I said, right in the red zone. Ramondre Stevenson had 2 of them of his own. Uh, Antonio Gibson and then Drake May even did. Then he's got the interception is in the end zone. So this is what I'm talking about. Going
Yeah.
to the red zone, getting down there. not only not coming away with points, but again, you get the ball right back over to the Steelers, to where this was still a tight game, and still they had an opportunity to win, and they blow it again in the end. Can't get it done, to where Aaron Rodgers and the Pittsburgh Steelers were able to walk out of there with a win somehow, but they did not play very well. They still look like a team that's very old and not doing well. Yes, I get the defense is credited to some of those turnovers with the punch outs and things like that, but the Patriots kind of gave it to them, I feel like, too, because they had tons of momentum, had every opportunity to win, and they kind of just blew this one.
Yep.
So in a team to where they could have just put them right down, to get back into a division to where, yes, the Bills are the cream of the crop of that division, and nobody's touching them. But with the Dolphins and how they're have a slow start, they're looking rough. The Jets not so good either. They had an opportunity to kind of get into this game and kind of set the stage to make a positioning into this division at least.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's get to the Bengals now. The Bengals, this one,
oh boy, here we go.
I used to be a Jake Browning fan, and I think he did all right, even as a backup, for the most part, when he had to for Joe Burrow in the past. But it seems like this year, again, just wicked turnover prone. But then, man, I thought they would play a little better. You know what I mean? I understand that, your backup getting in to try and to fill in a void that was Joe Burrow, and you're not going to be able to do that. But you had Minnesota on the other side with Carson Wentz. I still felt like the Minnesota Vikings were going to win with Carson Wentz just because he has more experience. They have really good weapons too, but it wasn't even Jake Browning's fault last week, right? The Bengals, they had 5 turnovers of their own too. And Jake Browning had 3 fumbles of his own, but Jamar Chase fumbled. I mean, they were just significant contributions to them losing this game and getting blown the hell out. Like the defense, Rodgers on defense. Oh my God, looked like just an all-star, on defense here. And what they were doing, just the turnovers, nonstop scoring, and just pummeled the daylights out of this Cincinnati Bengals team. And look what they are without Joe Burrow, I guess, huh?
I mean, it's definitely the biggest part of it is the quarterback. But on the other hand, like as a football team, you can't. They tied for first in week 3 for the most turnovers with 5 total. Like 3 fumbles lost, 2 interceptions thrown. You're not going to win games like that. It's just too big of a hurdle to overcome. And the Vikings, they were coming in like we mentioned before. Carson Wentz, solid quarterback, veteran quarterback. Yeah, he's not going to do anything crazy, but he's going to, for the most part, all he had to do was not lose the game for you, and he did that. So this team was already kind of missing their starting quarterback, and that's a a huge loss, really, with Joe Burrow going down. That we didn't expect them to win this game, but at the same time, even with Joe Burrow there, yeah, they would have limited turnovers, but I still think this game would have been out of reach anyway.
Yeah, it was tough. And like you said, even not only Minnesota, just defensively on offense, just handed to Jordan Mason, right? He was just getting done the ground and pound.
100%.
It was just crazy. So that kind of blew my mind. That was such a big blowout, but yeah, I mean, turnovers, and they're crucial. And that's what I mean when even
Huge.
like I said, even Jamar Chase and other guys, you're like kind of like, wow, man, really? I understand the quarterback situation.
Right.
But now you got to kind of like, how many times is Zach Taylor going to be saved by, well, you didn't have Joe Burrow, he's injured for the season. Oh, you didn't have this because of injuries. Oh, what are you going to do? Time after time, this team keeps playing underwhelmingly. You know what I mean? It's one thing that like you don't have your star quarterback. I get that, but you have tons of weapons around you. No, you don't have a great defense. I get that, but they had enough to try and keep you close in this one, at least to an extent. It comes down to coaching. Then when you don't have your star in there, you got to rally the troops together and say, everybody, come on. Next man up mentality. Let's get this going. And you didn't see any of that at the sideline at all. And he was just kind of like, oh, we got to do this. And it didn't seem like anybody responded at all. They were just couldn't wait to get the hell out of there.
Well, I couldn't wait to get out of there and stop watching the damn game
I
because
know.
I don't even think it was coaching. I think, dude, when you lose your key starter at quarterback, like no matter who it is, no matter what team, what degree quarterback it is, you lose your starter, you're dead in the water. That's what kind of helps your that's the backbone of your offense. That's the guy that kind of makes it go. And
Mhm,
I think that guys were already down morally because that they had Jake Browning as their starting quarterback. Like,
mhm,
I understand they were gonna play as well as they possibly could for Jake. It's not like they were gonna just say, "Oh, well, screw this guy." Um, but it is what it is. Like, this is a terrible
mhm.
situation, and the only way the Bengals can turn this thing around is if they trade for a quarterback.
Right.
Mike Tackett in the comment section said, "Could you imagine Jameis Winston in Cincinnati? With 3,000 yards, 35 TDs, and 35 interceptions." It'd be hilarious, but I don't
Mhm,
know if the Giants even wanna let him go because of their current quarterback situation. Well, Jackson Dart, let's just say if he falters or if he gets injured, even worse, you know? Not you what are you gonna go back to Russell Wilson? I think you might go to Jameis instead. And then for
mhm,
Cincinnati, you can't sit on your hands, guys. Your season is toast if you don't make a move.
mhm.
You gotta at least try. So why aren't you calling Atlanta right now with Kirk Cousins? Why aren't you seeing this see if you can kind of somewhat save the season in a sense? At least try to
Yeah.
save the season.
Yeah, at least make the phone calls. And I know Mike Takas, he also says here Cincinnati's giving Joe Burrow the Carson Palmer treatment. He needs more than two highly paid wide receivers to be successful. They need linemen who can actually protect him. They've tried to
They just
fix
need
that
linemen.
line, but they just, yeah,
They just
absolutely.
need linemen.
Um,
They neglected that. And
right.
now we're at where we're at. So without the offensive line being completely secured up front, the it doesn't matter if it's Joe Burrow or someone else like Jake Browning, like, you're gonna more times than not, you're gonna struggle.
Yeah. Yeah,
Me
and as far as, looking for another trade, why not at this point? Because you could be in worse positions, right? They've luckily again got out of the first 2 weeks with 2 wins. So they're leading the division right now at 2 and 1.
Right, right.
Baltimore now is 1 and 2. They play the
Yeah,
Chiefs who is also 1 and 2. So
mhm,
potentially Baltimore could lose to the Chiefs. I don't see it happening, but
mhm.
imagine Baltimore goes 1 and 3.
Ooh,
You're
yeah,
poised still at the top here. So why not make a move? This is where you want to be. When was the
mhm.
last time that the Bengals were able to be in this moment, be in the top of the division, say, okay, now Baltimore's vulnerable right now.
We're in the
Let's
driver's
make this
seat.
move. Let's go. They're always playing from behind. So
Yeah,
why not see what it is? How many times you got to we've seen teams cash in for the chip. This team has the potential with the weapons that they have around them. They just need to get there. So Kirk
mhm.
Cousins, I think that's a good option, but what's it going to cost you? I
Not
know
gonna cost a
the
lot.
Atlanta, is looking for a lot, but
It's not
again,
gonna cost you a lot. It's not.
what's
Like,
going to be?
you're gonna have to take on that contract, and if that's the case, then Atlanta cannot expect high-end compensation. This isn't like they're gonna take on half the contract or half the guarantees,
Mhm.
and then they're like, "Okay, yeah, but that means you gotta give us a 3rd round pick." Like, no. Like, if you want us to take the contract, okay, fine. We'll have to figure something else out because that's the other big hurdle for Cincinnati is we know that they're kind of against the wall in terms of financials, that they're gonna have to figure something out in order to make it work, or maybe working with Atlanta and try to say, "Hey, can you guys hold on to half of the guarantees? We'll give you a higher pick. We'll try to make this thing work, and it'll help us financially." Like, if they can come to terms, pull the trigger because this we're only going into week 4.
Mhm.
And the fact that you mentioned, Jim, that they are on top of the division, this doesn't happen for Cincinnati. They
Right.
they, they usually don't have a hot start and are sitting on top. So now, with that being said, and Joe Burrow most likely is going to be out the whole season, and let's just say, if they happen to get this deal done, and Kirk Cousins, after learning the playbook, it's more familiar with the weapons around him, helps carry the team just enough to maybe even get a wild card berth. And Joe Burrow happens to be healthy at that time.
Mhm.
because there's a possibility that if they make the playoffs, that he could possibly come back if everything goes well, right, health wise. And then he comes back, like so. But don't give up now. Like it's week 4. You're going into week 4. Make something happen now. If you can't get it done, then it is what it is, and you're just going to have to ride the rest of the season out. But or maybe pull off another trade. Maybe it's not Kirk. Maybe it's someone else that's a backup that isn't stellar, but you just need them to manage the game. That
Mhm.
they have experience.
Yeah.
Marcus Mariota in Washington just had
Yeah.
a fairly
Yeah.
decent game in Washington, and who knows? Maybe you call Washington right now and be like, "Hey, we saw Mariota play. We think he could work okay with our Cincinnati offense. Like, let's make a deal." Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
Well,
Like, I'm
yeah.
thinking outside the box here.
Right. Yeah. Because I mean, it's going to get rough here. They can easily be on the back end of this because they have a tough opponent in the Denver Broncos coming up this next week too. So that tough defense, I know they're going to be salivating over Jake Browning here. They're going to be like, oh yeah, okay, the turnover
Yeah,
machine. Let's get this. And they need to
I
bounce
get
back
that.
too.
I
So
get that.
they're going to be hungry. So they're going to be wanting to win here.
Every
Um,
team's hungry every Sunday.
no, I get that.
They
I
can't
get
wait to
that.
go home and eat dinner.
But yeah, who knows? We'll see if they do explore options. I think they should, or even free agency, whatever. I mean, we
See,
saw what the Vikings did. I mean, they went and grabbed Carson Wentz, a veteran. Not gonna do crazy stuff for you,
yeah,
but enough. He's a veteran. He's gonna not mess up the most,
right.
and get you where you need to get to. Especially you got weapons around you, like I said, when you got Jamar Chase and you've got T Higgins and company, and these
Mhm.
they should make it pretty easy for you. But the fact that everybody was turning it over and just playing without that, it seemed like they're almost like, oh, Burrow's done. Shit,
I mean, I
we're
mean,
done.
on
You
the
know what I
other
mean?
hand, we can also point the blame to as at the offensive line. The offensive line play is terrible in Cincinnati. Like, Amarian Mims, he's also getting banged up. He's
Hmm.
missing time. Like, it seems that they just still to this day, I mean, even this past offseason, I thought they would really go heavy and focus on the offensive line to protect Joe Burrow, to give the running backs a little bit more leeway in terms of rushing lanes and all that. But geez, I mean, what are we doing in Cincinnati? Like, hopefully, this next offseason that they're about to get into, because it seems like it's over with now unless they make a move
Mm.
that you gotta focus on O-line. You gotta protect your biggest asset in Joe Burrow.
Yeah, absolutely. We got a comment here from William Del Pilar is in the house. He says, I agree with Mike that team is not destined to do anything but tease. As the season wears on, injuries pile on, and they won't have any quality depth. It happens a lot, especially with that team. And that's what I mean. It's like, but how long is this going to save like Zach Taylor? I mean, he's been on the hot seat a few different times, but then also you look at injuries, so you're like, oh, you got to give them past. They didn't have that because when they, Burrow's back, whatever, they're winning. But I don't know. Again, as time passes, that seat's going to get hotter. I mean, when you don't win, no matter what. I mean, look at Mike McDaniel's here too with the Miami Dolphins too. I think these hot seats are starting to get crazy here. We're going to start talking
Well,
about them pretty soon.
there's news out of Cincinnati that Zach Taylor is firmly, completely
He's
they have the
firmly
confidence in
safe.
him. He's
No
definitely
speed
safe.
bummer.
He's not going anywhere. And the fact that you're starting high-end caliber quarterback Joe Burrow is down now for pretty much the season. It's a mulligan at this point. Like you can't blame the coach because he doesn't even have anything to work with now. So, um, and I know that the ownership in the front office there, they absolutely love Zach Taylor. Like
Hmm.
there's nobody is feeling a certain way or doubting his capabilities as a coach. So until that happens, he's still safe.
All right, so yeah, we're talking about Turnover Tuesday. I gotta show this again here one more time, just because it's too good to pass up. Look at this. Look at
Too
Joe
good.
making the turnovers, man. I love that. They look good. You look like you're enjoying yourselves in the kitchen, buddy. I mean,
I like
you're
me
so
some turnovers,
photogenic.
bro. Like me some
uh,
turnovers.
nice. So let's talk about the Texans, Joe. What a disappointment. You talk about teams that are disappointing.
Oh, jeez,
I
yes.
said in the beginning of this, in the preseason, I'm like, all right, this is Houston's, division to lose, then I think
Right,
Indy's going to turn
right.
it around, play better. I think Daniel Jones is going to do well. Jacksonville's going to get better. And then we'll see what happens with Tennessee.
Mhm.
And so far, all that has happened except for the Houston thing. Houston, we have a friggin' problem. Uh, the
right.
defense has been okay, but the
Defense been
offense is
great.
putrid. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Offense, I talk about the Giants defense being, or offense being inept and terrible. The Texans offense is 32nd ranked in the league, and you talk about a quarterback who, again, after the first year, you want to start placing yourself in the top 5. You need to humble yourself, buddy, because now look at yourself. You have regressed, I think, more than any quarterback right now in the league. And CJ Stroud. I mean, stupid turnovers that he's doing, just missing receivers, just playing terribly this year.
I disagree with that. I don't think CJ Stroud is playing terrible. I think the fact that he has no protection up front, he's always running for his life, is the reason why you have missed throws and you have rushed decision making and everything like that that leads to mistakes. This offensive line, for the life of me, I still can't figure out to this day why they traded Laramie Tunsil before the season started. Like, that doesn't make
Right.
any sense to me. Instead of instead of gaining more offensive line help, hey, let's trade our best tackle away. That already spelled doom for the Houston Texans. So more
Mhm.
times than not, like, this offensive line now is a shell of itself, and it's showing on the football field. They got tons of weapons all over the place. They have a great backfield that they can rely on especially when Joe Mixon gets back, if he gets back, and this team would otherwise be a contender. But the fact that they can't protect up front, they can't open up rushing lanes, they're struggling to do anything at the offensive line position. That it's leading for a poor offense. They just can't overcome it. Much like the whole reasons for in Cincinnati, the same deal. The offensive line is so critical for your offense to run on all cylinders and play at a high level. And the Texans right now, they just can't do it.
Mike Tackett says, where does CJ Gardner Johnson end up? Was his release justifiable?
No,
I,
no, I'll tell you this right now. Like, for CJ Gardner Johnson to be flat out released, any team that needs help at
mhm,
safety, whether it be help or start right away, because this kid is talented.
mhm,
Somebody's got to pick him up. I don't care if you got to claim him on waivers and take on that contract, or maybe you kind of roll the dice and wait for him to clear waivers, hopefully, and then you just sign him right up. But man, this dude is talented. I don't know
mhm.
what Texans are thinking about when I understand they already have a good defense, but now a guy that you traded for, and now you're just flat out releasing. Like, it's a little weird of a decision, much like the Laramie Tunsil trade.
Yeah, and I remember the last week there was one play he kind of gave up, but that's not like all of a sudden like you just cut a guy because of
Just
something that
cut him.
happens like that. You're like, no, that's like you fucked up there. You know, get the hell out of here right now. Like,
Get
pack
out.
your bags. It's like that
That's
doesn't
right.
happen, especially a guy his
It
caliber.
does.
So
Yeah.
that says to me that there's just questions going on with coaching and then the GM, and they're not melding together. Like they're not on the same page or something there with that. So like you said, though, if any team's looking for when he's open, I think, yeah, he finds a spot. Where could he go? I don't
Mhm.
know. He wants to try and go to a contender, and contenders usually do look for guys like this just to add on, just to add more depth, So,
Dude, I'll tell you
if
right
I'm the,
now, there's a team in dire need of defensive backs, and that is the Raiders. They are
there you go.
absolutely god awful. They can't freaking defend the pass to save their lives.
hmm
They
hmm
need Pete Carroll needs to wake up and start making some changes there.
Mike Tackett says Dabo Sweeney to Cincinnati. That would be
I
interesting.
I don't
But
think he'll
you
ever
said
go to the
again,
NFL.
no, he said Taylor's seat is firmly seated right there. So I guess, we won't be seeing any of that anytime soon.
I
But who
wouldn't
knows?
want
Things
Dabo
change
Sweeney in
though.
the NFL.
All right. So
I don't think he can make that transition.
that's right. So again, uh a 17-10 loss by the Texans, though. Again, you're watching that game. They're still in it. And with 30
Right down
seconds
to the
left in the
end.
game, a final interception that just was the nail
Yeah.
in the coffin. You're kind of like,
Yeah.
dude, really? And like I said, I think Jacksonville is getting better, and their defense is really good. And see, they showed out this past week too. But had opportunities. You had opportunities, and then, like I said, the fumble that set up Jacksonville for a touchdown. It's just those turnovers in the crucial moments. That's what kills you, and that's what happened here with the Texans, and that's where it sucks because they've been in good games here. The defense is good, and just those turnovers in crucial moments that now you're 0-3. And your rival in the Indianapolis Colts, they're undefeated right now with Daniel Jones. Yeah, Jonathan Taylor, best running back in the league right now, just crushing it. So that's got to be really eating at them. So they got to get back into this division here. So it's going to be rough,
Well,
but
we'll see what happens this week, Jim, because the Colts got quite a contest against
Mhm.
the LA Rams. So that'll be a true test just
This
to
will be
see
the litmus test.
how good the Colts actually are defensively and offensively with Daniel Jones.
Yep, absolutely. All right, so finally here, when we talk about our turnovers, the Falcons, right? I was talking on our other show, Football on the No Show, Wednesday nights, 9:00 p.m. Eastern, with one of our Atlanta Falcons fans, and I was like, you know what? All right, you guys probably sold me here. You know, Michael Penix Jr., he's looking really good, playing safe. Okay, I'm liking Atlanta, you know, and I think they're good. And they're playing Carolina. I said it, though, in that one again. These divisional rival games are going to be tight. They're going to be tough. But then it wasn't even that. They just got demolished by the Carolina defense. They just crushed them. Turn the ball. What's that? Oh, yeah. Goose egg. Yeah. Blown out like 30-0, right? Just destroyed by the Panthers. I don't think anybody really even saw that. I don't know what expert picks were and things like that, but I don't think anybody really saw this happening. And again, Michael Penix Jr., who hasn't really turned the ball over, has been playing well the first couple of games. Just, again, making mistakes all over the place on this one. And that defense making some big old plays.
Absolutely. And that's the thing too, is it got so bad towards the end of the game, they just pulled Penix out and they put in Kirk Cousins got to play. And guess what? Oh, Kirky still got it. 5 for
Yeah.
7 with 29 yards. So I mean, yeah, the yardage ain't crazy, but still, like, high percentage,
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean. You kind of teased both. Like, you're not going to make the switch and go back to Kirk Cousins, obviously, right? So
No.
you got to kind of show Kirk Cousins out there a little bit, though, too. Like, all right, here you go. See, yeah, he can still play. Who wants him? You know,
Look,
what
he
we got
still
out here?
exists.
We'll take some trades. You know, what do we got here? What are you guys offering? You know, you
It's
still
weird.
got it.
That whole deal is weird. How the Atlanta Falcons have kind of, actually mishandled this whole
Mm-hmm.
situation,
Mm-hmm.
with Kirk Cousins kind of being surprised or shocked before we got to this point, and finding out he was going to be the backup and not the starter going into this year. And then, is he getting traded? Is he not getting traded? We're taking calls. We're not taking calls. And now he's going to be our backup, the highest paid backup in the NFL. So, uh,
Mm-hmm.
very awkward and weird situation in Atlanta. Maybe with some of these teams that are in dire need of quarterback play. We mentioned Cincinnati, uh, probably the biggest one that needs it right now. Maybe they make some phone calls and see if they can get a deal done.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. Again, it just didn't look very good. They had the fumbled punt too. That was no
I
good. But
mean,
again, that pick six was brutal.
it was it
You
was the
know,
worst. I mean, it doesn't even come down to the one pick six. It's just this
yeah.
game was atrocious for Atlanta Falcons across the board.
Mhm.
Defensively, special teams, offensively, it was just a bad day at the office for them, and chalk it up as that. And let's see if they can turn this thing around next week.
All right, Joe. So there you go. There's our Turnover Tuesday. That was a lot of fun talking about all those different and the difference that turnovers make in games. Like we talk about it all the times, but those were kind of just atrocious for the amount in the first couple games and then where they happened and what they did and the outcomes of the games in the prior. After this week, we've seen some pretty good games here. Again, Monday night, last night was intense.
Yeah.
Two gladiators battling out. The Detroit Lions seem back again. Now, when you looked at how they came out week one, you're like, oh, easy for media to be like, oh, they don't have, Ryan Johnson anymore or whatever. They don't have this. They're not going to get done. They're terrible now.
Right.
And then I was looking at it as like, well, I think they're good. They just got to slow. They weren't ready. They're just slow start. They got to get warmed up. And week two, They got really warmed up. They got on fire. And then this week they brought it against a tough Baltimore Ravens team to where now Derrick Henry, 3 fumbles already this year. Lamar Jackson in crucial moments again, not stepping up. And this is the thing that follows the Baltimore Ravens. Not only just the double-digit losses, after leading, in the fourth quarter, giving them up and losing the game, but in crucial moments, not winning and solidifying the game, making mistakes and getting it done. And it's the same MO for them.
Yeah, and this is it. The problem for me with the Ravens and Lamar Jackson and the way they kind of went about that game is the game was close. Game was back and forth all the
Oh, it
way
was.
pretty much through it until we get towards the end to where they started making mistakes. They started to do too much, especially Lamar Jackson. We've seen this same Lamar Jackson in the first half where we're like, oh man, he's taking off when he has to. He's distributing the football. Sometimes he's running up towards the line of scrimmage and then just kind of little quick 10-yard pass, and he was making it, making the offense move, getting it down the football field, scoring touchdowns at the end. And then the second half came. And again, we've seen this Lamar Jackson before in the playoffs, kind of let the team down a little bit, where he stays in the pocket instead of taking what's available. Like it went as soon as there's a crack in the offensive line or an opening that he can take off and get some real serious yardage with his legs, he just doesn't do it. He stayed in the pocket and stayed in the pocket and tried to make a play throwing the football when, dude, the Ravens fans don't care. They don't care if you throw for 300 that game. They don't care if you run for 300 that game, as long as you win. And that's the key. Stop worrying about what the outside thinks of you, because that's what it looks like to me on the outsider's perspective looking in, that every time it's crunch time again on a big stage against a big opponent, and in the second half, man, like you could have really kind of taken over that game with your legs instead of trying to make it with your arm. And who knows if he did choose that route like he did in the first half, maybe this is a different final. Maybe the Ravens are the ones that end up coming away with the win.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, we keep getting to these big games where we're expecting Lamar Jackson to do Lamar things, and he disappoints. Like, I know everyone's going to point the finger at Derrick Henry once again, and yes, it is critical. Derrick Henry has done this twice in down the stretch moments of a game to like kind of ice the game or whatever and come away with the win, or be able to have a chance to win the game. And he's faltered. But you know what? If we back it up a little bit earlier in the game where it didn't have to be that, could have been Lamar Jackson doing his thing, and instead tried to be something he's not in the second half of that game. So hopefully he learns from this. We've seen it in the playoffs before where he should have done more with his legs and didn't. It's time to just do it. Do what you do, Lamar.
Yeah.
Win
Be
games
Lamar.
that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's almost like he's trying to compete with Josh Allen, because that's what Josh Allen does. Josh Allen can still make plays with his legs and do that, and he will, but he's also looking to do just the shovel pass, you dish and that when he's got to go, when he gets, up to the line. And, that trick play here when Derrick Henry's trying to throw it into the end zone too. How is that not discussed by Todd Monken and those guys that say, hey, Lamar's going out on this one? He's got to be absolutely an option for you, because if nobody's going to follow him, there's thinking you're running, then you stop, literally stop and said, so everybody know, oh, he's obviously throwing. Dude, he's open on the other side, wide open by himself. And you don't think he's going to out juke anybody, even if they come out on him? Like, how is that not the play? We've seen this play done over and over. The Philly special, Tom Brady even out on a pass on those, and they still throw him the ball because he's wide open. People don't expect it. You got to think that's an option. And again, almost throws an interception in the end zone. So they got to clean up things like that.
And
too.
Josh, and real quick, Josh Allen is one of the more special players, and we could even say he's such a special player. He's the only player in NFL history to have 31 touchdowns to 1 interception over a 12-game span. That is elite territory, and he's the only one. You think of Tom Brady, you think of Aaron Rodgers in his best, you think of Jalen Hurts in his best. Nope. The only one that's ever done it is Josh Allen.
Yep.
So
Yep.
put that in
Absolutely.
your cereal.
Boom. He's getting so good that, he's even encroaching on the SoFi commercials over Justin Herbert. So just like now the Chargers, when they play in SoFi Stadium, and they, other teams' fans take over that stadium. Now Josh Allen is taking over SoFi commercials. It's come full circle.
It has. It
Right?
definitely has.
Oh man. So yes, Joe, there you go. Another week in the books. We're excited to see this next week unfold. More turnovers, more punt blocks. Oh my gosh. Upsets. Green Bay loses to the Cleveland Browns. They get on the board with a win. It keeps getting better and better, but Green Bay, again, just when you buy in again, Jordan Love doesn't, show up, just getting shut down, but I tell you, Cleveland's got a really good defense here.
Give the Browns credit because everybody was saying that they were going to get run through by the Green Bay Packers. Everybody, even us. We didn't expect the Browns to win that game. But we did say, a little asterisk on there, we did say that this game would probably be closer than what other people are expecting. And it was. It wasn't just closer. It was closer, and then the Browns ended up coming on top and winning. So,
yes.
Micah Parsons said it best at the end of the game and said, sometimes you play like shit. Sometimes that's what happens. It's just, that's why it's any given Sunday. Even though we have, such conviction on the Broncos should win this game. Oh, yeah, the Chargers should definitely win this game. But then next week, we could be saying, oh, man, how'd the Chargers lose that game? So it's just one of those things, man.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. Again, next week, we're going to see a whole nother new thing that's going to surprise us. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining us again tonight. Joe, tell them one more time where they can find more episodes of this podcast, but then others in the Grumblings Media family.
It's so easy. A monkey could do this. Head over to YouTube. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button right there on Grumblings Media. Make sure you hit the thumbs up while you're there too. It doesn't hurt. It's absolutely free. It's so easy. I do it at least once a week. I unsubscribe and then I subscribe and hit the thumbs up. It's that simple. So make sure you do that. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Share it. Spread the word out there. Everybody will see you in the next one.
All right. See you guys. See you next week.
Hey everybody, this is Big John from Grumblings Media, and I just want to say thank you for watching our content. If you want to support our efforts here at Grumblings Media, just smash the subscribe button right here, totally free, or just go ahead and consume more of our great content. Click either one of these two boxes.